Welcome back to Chapter 3 Adventures. My name is Heather. I am a Disney travel planner and have a weekly podcast with my husband where we provide tips and tricks on how to plan your next Disney vacation. This week, I'm kicking off a 4-part series where we cover some of those basic questions when planning your next Disney vacation. First one being when to visit Disney. Second one, where to stay. Third one, what are you going to do once you're there? And fourth one, where are you going to eat? So if that sounds good, go ahead and hit that bell notification and hit the like and subscribe buttons and follow along for this 4-part series. So before I dive into that first part and that first question, you may notice I'm flying solo today. Brandon is actually at the Bengals and Steelers game. So hopefully I'll have some clips to throw into this video throughout it so you can kind of see what he's up to today. But no further delay, let's jump into that question. So there are so many factors to take into consideration when trying to decide when to go to Disney. And if you're looking for a one-size-fits-all answer, I don't have it. I'm sorry. There's just way too many factors to and preferences to take into consideration to peg out one date that is the perfect time to go. And it's probably a good thing because if you did, it would be absolutely crowded. So that's probably a good thing. But I do have 4 factors that I think will help you narrow down when is that right time. And I go into full detail in this with Brandon, of course, on episode 8 of our podcast. And we actually detail each month with these factors and also include different events and such that are going on. So if you really want a detailed view of this, go hit up episode 8 of our podcast. So there's 4 things to take into consideration. It's going to be cost, it's going to be weather, it's going to be crowds, and it's going to be your schedule. And that is probably the number 1 factor. When can you go? It doesn't matter if September is the best time to go of the year if you can't get off work or you can't get your kids out of school. So decide when is ideal for you to go for your own schedule. That is number 1. And so number 2 goes along the same lines. If you are basing your schedule around kids' school or kids' activities especially, you may end up hitting up some crowds. It's going to be what's considered peak travel seasons. And we're talking about spring break. We're talking about summer break. We're talking about Christmas break. All of those times, you're going to run into a lot of crowds. But the flip side to that is that if you don't have kids that you're traveling with, well, that means that all those school months of the year where kids would normally be in school, that might be a good time for you to go as well. When are you also going to have large crowds? Again, this is going to be holidays. So Easter is one of the busiest times of the year, second to Christmas. And then third busiest time is actually 4th of July. Halloween, it starts out pretty slow, but then the week of Halloween is going to pick up. So all of those holidays, that's when you're going to run into crowds because everybody's got the time off and that's when they want to go. And don't look past those 3-day weekends because Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Veterans Day, any of those that hit up as a 3-day weekend, they're going to be crowded. People are going to go to Disney during that time. So shoot for times that are not holiday based and also not during those school times or not during vacation times for schools. Now, I will tell you that sometimes after a holiday, it's like a bounce back period. So the week after 4th of July, excellent time to go. So crowds go up, hits 4th of July, it's a peak, and then it drops dramatically. And then it starts going right back up again until you hit up to Labor Day. So those times that are after a holiday, they may be a good time to go if you don't have kids. What if you do have kids and you still don't like crowds? Well, this is when you're going to have to be planning some, just factoring in time. When you're planning your vacation, planning out the things that you want to do, be realistic. If you're going during one of those peak times, you may not get everything on that list done. So be realistic with what you can get completed. And if you do have to go during one of those times that are off or based on the school schedule, then this is where you might have to be a little bit more flexible in some of the other factors. So the next factor I want to cover is heat, temperature, weather. Florida's hot. Florida also is prone to hurricanes. So there's a couple of times of the year that you're going to experience weather extremes. Of course, summer, it's going to be hot. But if you can handle that temperature and you can handle that heat towards the end of July, mid-July and end, you're going to have low crowds because there's a lot of people who can't tolerate the heat. So if you can, that might be a good time for you to go. Let's talk hurricane season. So September, we'll get into this in a moment, but it's one of the lowest prices, and it's because hurricane season. That is when it is likely to, if you go to Disney, you're likely to have some kind of hurricane or tropical storm. Now, we talked about this in our podcast. Brandon and I went in September. We actually kind of broke so many of the rules when it comes to planning when to go, and we still had an excellent time. But we actually went the day, actually over Labor Day weekend, and it was crowded. It was busy. We also got hit with a tropical storm. And the thing is, we know, like we talked about this, is that if someone hadn't told us that it was a tropical storm, we wouldn't have known it. So while you are likely and most definitely going to get storms and bad weather in September, you might miss the hurricane, but it is something that you have to take into consideration. And if you've been planning that trip for a year and come to find out you can't go because a hurricane hits the area, that may be devastating. So just keep that in mind. And then the next factor is going to be cost. And so, of course, there are different times of the year when it's going to be more expensive to go than others. And these also correspond with those peak seasons. So if there's a holiday like Easter, if there's a holiday like Christmas, you can bank on that cost being driven up high. So much so that it can even be a $200 to $300 difference on resorts per night. So we actually looked at doing Contemporary for December, and the pricing was around $800 a night. When we looked at it for September, which is the cheapest time to go, it was around $500. So that's a big difference. And so you can really save a lot of money by hitting up some of those cheaper months. But again, the cheapest month of the year is September, and that's hurricane season. So ultimately, it's going to be what you decide is important to you. Do you not want to be hot? That's me. I couldn't hardly handle the July temperature. That would not be pleasant for me. I would not like that. But if you can tolerate the July temperatures, then you're going to have lower crowd level when your kids are likely to be out of school. So you may be hitting a couple check boxes there. The other thing is that it's not recommended to travel over holidays because of the crowd level. You're not going to be able to get as much done as you want to. But maybe what you're really wanting to do is see the holiday decorations. That's where we are this year. We're going to Magic Kingdom on December 16th. And the whole reason that we're even going is just to see the Christmas decorations for Christmas. So to me, that makes it totally worth it. But if it's my first time going to Disney, where I'm not going to get to ride all the rides I want to ride, that would be disappointing. So these are just those things to take into consideration. Okay, so let's answer this. When is my favorite time to go to Disney World? Well, I've been in the spring, I've been in the summer, I'm going to go in the winter, and that is the first time I've been in the winter, so I can't speak too much from experience on that. But my favorite time to go is the first week of November. So you're in that week after Halloween. So there's that little bit of bounce back. Temperatures are mild. They're not as hot as what they were in September or August. And crowd levels are a little bit lower. And the pricing, it's a little pricier, but it's not as expensive as what December would be. In fact, you will find a lot of deals. Now, you need to hit this up before Veterans Day weekend, and because otherwise it's going to be crowded again. Okay, so just recap all of that one more time. To me, there is 4 main things to take into consideration when trying to decide when to go to Disney. The top one for me is going to be your schedule. When can you go? And then the other 3 are going to be in no particular order, but crowds, weather, and pricing. Those items will help you determine when it's the best time and narrow it down. And like I said, there is no one size fits all. Your answer is going to be different than mine, and my answer is going to be different than the next person. And so if you've been to Disney, let me know. When do you like to go? When is your favorite time to go and why? And I'm really curious to hear all the different responses we have. And maybe you will convince me to go a different time of the year than I think is my favorite. So again, just let me know down below. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out and we'll try to help you work through that. And so I think maybe right now is a good time to check in on Brandon and see how he's doing.
What's up, guys? Brandon here at the Steelers-Bengals game. Don't know what I can show. Here with Patrick and Abby. See? Patrick, Abby.
What is it?
Videoing. They're a little afraid to be sitting with me because I'm in my Steelers stuff, but we got the whole Steelers section back there, ready to enjoy a game. Forgot to record on the way down, but we're going to shoot some stuff here. You guys enjoy. See you soon.
Thank you, guys.